Okay, here we go. There we go. Woo! It has been a week. Sorry about the 20 minutes late jumping on here. Oh, where's my cup? There it is. All right. I am trying to get some things fixed here. Um, we should be live on both Twitch and YouTube. So it looks like we are. Hopefully, there's no issues. Um, and I apologize. I'm still trying to figure out. It took me a while to get some things updated, and I need to get some chats moved around. All that fun stuff. I'm trying to get everything realigned to be able to be streaming to both places at once. The main reason for streaming both places is that I just have been super busy and not had time to really dive into adding everything to YouTube like I would originally have hoped. So I apologize for that. What in the world just happened? Something happened. Here we go. All right, I'm trying to rearrange my windows and things here. So, oh, there it is. Okay, I want that one here, and this one. I have this little program that uh, lets me put things in the right places, but I need to get it set up. And I just got home about 10 minutes ago, 15 minutes ago from work, so I had to go in the office today. I usually do on Wednesdays, but anyway, it's been a while. I apologize. I haven't been here for the last couple days. Work has just been really busy with a lot of different things going on, and so I had to cut out the last couple of days. Wasn't able to jump on the live stream, and honestly, I've just been exhausted too, as far as being able um, to really function very well in the evening. Had things that I needed to do in the at home as well, and so it's been a long week already. I think I've probably worked almost a full week in just the first few days. So, but it's glad to be back here with you guys today. Hopefully, everything is working out fine here on the streams. I don't know. Trying to get things showing up here correctly so that I can monitor everything. Because when you have two live streams, it gets a little hairy here. So I'm just trying to make sure I got everything working the way that I want it to. YouTube's always got to be hard. Uh, uh, uh. Oh, uh-oh, something happened. Oops. All kinds of things. Okay. If for some reason you happen to be watching this mess live, jump in the chat, whether you're on YouTube or you're on uh, Twitch, as we're on both of them. Jump in the chat, say hello. Again, I apologize to everybody who was looking for us here. Let me pop in the Discord server and just see, let everybody know that we're actually live today. This is really annoying. So there's this thing with YouTube. Uh-oh, Discord failed. That's not good. There's a thing with YouTube where I pop the chat out so I can see it up here and look more kind of towards the camera or looking at the chat up over here. And it leaves this like weird chat window that's really annoying still right here in the way. So I don't know. I don't know what the deal is. I don't. There's so many things like I like certain things about Twitch and I like certain things about YouTube, and I can't find everything that I want in one place. I was talking to an acquaintance of mine who has his own podcast that'll be up later tonight, actually. Um, and he's using StreamYard, and I just don't want to pay. I'm using something else locally to push out to these other sites so I can do multiple sites at one time. So I don't. Maybe it's destroying my computer. I don't know. But anyway, I'm trying to figure out how to get all these things to load the way that I want to and see everything. I wish there was oh, there is a top half and bottom half. I wonder if I can do that. If that makes it a little bit better. That's a little bit better. It's not terrible. And then this one up here. Oh, the Twitch stream is horrible though. Can I move this down? I can move it down. There we go. There's so many weird things with Twitch. It just kind of, it's kind of interesting. Oh, I don't want to do full screen. Oh my goodness. I don't even know what I'm doing. Here, let me go full screen here. Yep, I don't know. Maybe we'll just, we'll put both of them full screen and swipe back and forth and see how everything's doing. It's kind of funny though, because like the YouTube tells me I have a great connection, but Twitch is telling me that it's kind of unstable. So I don't know how that works, but whatever. Anyway, so getting back to streaming on both. Again, streaming on both live mostly because one, I want to stream on Twitch because it's a better stream and might be able to reach some other people. But I might drop Twitch back to YouTube just because I just I'm not really having any traction on Twitch, and YouTube's just kind of easier, I think, overall. And I want to make sure that I'm getting content out on YouTube because that place is actually monetized. So, you know, if I ever actually got a check from it, that would be helpful. Oh man. But there is definitely something about burnout. I know we've talked about burnout here on the channel before. This has been kind of a long week. You know, and there are oftentimes frustrations in the process of going through development, especially when you're on a team. Not everybody has the same idea. Not everybody necessarily is always on the same page when you're developing something. And I don't know if you know this, but developers have a, you know, we are very proud people, and we all have an idea of how things should work, and it's not necessarily always the same idea. So that's something that we have to learn to get through and work through together as a team. And that's something, you know, especially if you're a junior developer right now, maybe you don't feel that that pull yet of thinking that you have the right idea as opposed to somebody else. But you'll get there. Trust me. The longer you spend in this industry, the longer you spend learning and growing your craft, you're definitely going to reach a point where you have some very strong opinions, and not that those opinions are bad or wrong, but they're opinions that are built up based off of your experiences. And that's one of the reasons why I say here on this channel, you know, if you have a question, you know, put it in the chat. If you disagree with me, feel free to say something in the chat. I have no problem with that, because at the end of the day, my observations, my information, it's all my opinion based off of my experience, and my experience may be different than your experience, and my experience may be different than a lot of other people's experiences. So I think it's always good to get more than just one person's opinion on a certain scenario or on a question that you might have. And so I always encourage you to take anything that I say with a grain of salt. Obviously, I think that what I am saying is true. I think what I'm saying is valid and helpful. But at the end of the day, it's still just my opinion, and so you definitely want to take that with a grain of salt. And hopefully I am at a place in my life where I'm okay with admitting that, not just publicly here on Twitch and YouTube, but even, you know, within a team. And it's not that you need to be a pushover in a team, but you definitely need to be a team player in a team. And that can be difficult at times when you really, really feel strongly about something. Sometimes you have to take a step back and ask yourself, is my opinion on this absolutely crucial? Like, is there something that I know or that I'm seeing about the opinion that I have that other people just don't have an experience? They're not seeing the pitfall maybe in their opinion that I'm seeing in their opinion. And if that is the case, then, how can I better communicate to my team what the issues are that I'm seeing? But if I look at that and I evaluate and I say, I don't see anything specifically that is a problem, that is an issue with what I am offering, or I don't see a problem with what they're offering. It's just two different opinions. Now I get to make a choice. I can either submit my will to somebody else's and hopefully gain a good relationship, or I can push my way, and especially if I'm in a lead position or something like that, push my right to make a decision and force everybody else to follow it, or I can listen to counsel from other people. And so that's something that you're going to have to engage with at some point in your career as you go throughout your journey as a developer. And even if you move on from mostly development, in my current role as a director of engineering, I oversee multiple projects, and almost every project I have a developer on that probably has as much experience in development as I do. And there are often times where we won't have the same idea. And sometimes there's reasons why I have to push them to go my route, and sometimes there's reasons why I can let them go their route, even if I disagree with it, right? And part of leadership is understanding when to put your foot down and when to let other people kind of move forward and take the lead in those things. And I certainly would not say that I do that perfectly by any stretch of the imagination, but that form of leadership and understanding and recognition is not just a leadership thing. It's something that really all devs need to deal with, need to put into their soft skills, into their pouch of soft skills, right? So we need to constantly be aware of when we are pushing for our way because we're unwilling to do it somebody else's way, or when we're pushing for our way because it really is overall the best option based on the pitfalls of other options. And then we also have to understand where we're at in our roles, right? So hey, welcome, Ming, nice to see you. Yeah, I got on really late and I apologize for that. So I'm just kind of rambling. I'm actually on YouTube and Twitch at the same time. I don't want to lose Twitch because it's such a better streaming platform, but I think I just have so little time these days to really do even simple editing that I decided to go ahead and stream on both platforms. So feel free to watch on either side, wherever you want to be there, Ming. So whatever's easier for you. So funny that you mentioned the 100 push-ups. So I am next week going to be starting a workout regimen to try to get in better shape for when my son gets back from boot camp. So I'm not going to be in as good a shape as he will be, because he's already got a month and a half on me. And I've got a lot of age on him, so I'm sure his body recovers a lot faster than mine does. But yeah, I am gonna be doing some push-ups for sure. That's no problem. I'm gonna be off here pretty soon. I'm gonna keep this one pretty short just because I still have a lot of other work that I need to do as well. So no worries. Good luck on the mock interview practice. I hope that goes well for you. And tomorrow I'm actually going to be giving a talk to a local charity on AI and how to use AI better for themselves privately, for their business, things like that. So that's going to be fun, be able to do that through the company that I work for. So that'll be kind of fun. I don't know. I know they're going to record it, but I don't know if they're going to give me what they're going to give me from it, if I can put any of it on my YouTube channel or not. But I may not want to. It may go really poorly and I won't want to use it. So I don't know. We'll see. I feel like I can generally talk about most things, but AI is such a new technology. It's there's a lot of stuff that I don't understand and that I'm going to have to really talk about at a high level. So it'll be interesting for sure. 2 interviews. Nice. 2 interviews this week, an initial call next week. From your old job. Which job? The one that that's crazy. Is this the store that you were talking about? Your old job? That's interesting. One thing I just realized that if I'm gonna have two trats, I'm gonna have to figure out how to put those on the screen better. So we'll see. Yeah, the retail one. Okay, yeah. That makes sense. Um, cool. That's awesome. So 2 interviews this week and a call next week. Oh, by the way, so next week I will not be here on Monday. That is Labor Day, which is a holiday. But hopefully I'll be here tomorrow, Friday, and Saturday. I don't think there's anything that should be getting in the way of that, barring anything that I just don't know about right now. So anyway, even though I was on late, I wanted to jump in here and kind of get things set up and make sure that I had things set up for YouTube and Twitch so that we can stream to both places moving forward. So hopefully that all is working well. It looks like it's working okay from what I can see on the statistics between the two different streaming platforms. So it looks like that's going all right. Not really getting. Oh wait, there we go. The YouTube one is behind, so I probably should just pause my own viewing on these since I know that they're working. There we go. Take up a little bit less bandwidth. Let's see. Do you think have 2 short-term contracts on your resume is a red flag for some companies? I mean, it might be. If it is, that's dumb, frankly. I just don't. In fact, I was talking about this today with my employer. If you've got a couple, that's not a big deal in my opinion. If your resume is chock full of really short-term contracts, I'd want to know why they were all short-term, if that makes sense. Like, I would want to know, is that because you were let go from them all, or were they just literally the types of jobs that didn't take very long and they didn't have the finances to keep you on? Because a lot of times what happens with the contracts is a company will hire you on contract, and if they like you, they'll bring you on board. So if somebody has like a whole plethora of contracts, but there's never a hiring, I would want to know why that is. Now, it could be that the person just really likes contract work. They don't want to work full time for a company, which they wouldn't be applying for a job at my company anyway if I saw that. But and if somebody just likes contract work, that's great, and that would be something that I would want to know. Because I probably wouldn't hire them full time if they liked contract work, because I don't know how long they're going to stay with me, right? So that would be an issue. But I think, again, especially when you're starting out, that is less of a red flag to me when you're starting out. If you've been developing for 10 years and you're a senior level developer and everything that you've had recently especially is contract work, and it's weird contract, like 4 months, 3 months, 5 months, it's not like a full, usually contracts are 6 months, and you're not making it to 6 months, that would be a red flag to me. Now, if you had an 18-month contract, that's not a red flag to me at all, because it means you're still staying at a position for a year and a half, right? So I wouldn't see that as an issue, personally, especially for somebody who's new. I've seen some that are 3 months or less. Yeah, once in a while there are some that are that short. It's pretty rare, in my opinion, to see a contract that's less than 6 months. Can it happen? Sure. It sounds to me like the company doesn't really know what they're looking for. If they're doing a 3-month contract, they probably don't know what they need. Thank you, Ming. So I feel like 3 months is just barely enough time to really evaluate somebody, and that seems like they're just trying to get the minimum amount of time in to evaluate somebody before they decide if they want to extend that contract. And to me, that means you don't really know what you're looking for. You don't know how to hire for that position. Some of those issues that we've talked about in the past. So I think it's important that we that we understand some people are just not good at the hiring process, and they're going to mitigate that a lot of times by keeping their commitments low. Now, even with contracts, the commitment is still oftentimes pretty easy to break. So I don't know that that's necessarily a huge issue for them either. So again, for lots of short-term contracts, each 2 months each, again, like it would be a red flag, but the red flag would be more for me to ask questions, right? It would not be a red flag that says I'm not going to interview this person, or I'm not going to give this person a phone call, right? So that to me is the difference. If we're asking about whether or not I'm willing to talk to them, that's not a red flag for that. But it is something that I'm going to want to talk about when I talk to them. I'm going to want to hear what their assessment of that is, because it's always interesting to hear what people think of being let go, right, and how they talk about it. Even myself, thinking about how I've talked about being let go in the past, which thankfully none of them have ever been for cause, and certainly not communicated to me as for cause. But it's always that's always a weird dance of how do I communicate the fact that I didn't leave, I was let go, but I was still a good employee, right? Like how do you communicate that? That can be difficult sometimes. So it's always interesting to hear hear how people handle those situations where they're talking about not being employed very long at those companies. Now, again, if it's a contract, that tells me that at least in the company's eyes, there was some level of assumption of short-term reality to this contract, right? To this relationship. So I don't know. Everything, I hate to say it, but everything really is a case-by-case basis. And if you, as a recruiter, as an interviewer, if you're making wide swath cancellations based off of certain things like that, I think you're probably shooting yourself in the foot when it comes to your hiring process and who might be a good employee, despite some of the things that you might see on their resume. So I just think, and that's something we all have to deal with, honestly. I mean, we're in the process right now of looking for some senior developers, and we're getting a decent number of applications, and we have to have some way of filtering through them, right? And it can't be just based on number of years. It's got to be based on what they've got experience in and how quickly it looks like we could be a good match for them to be able to get up and running quickly and things like that. So there's a lot that goes into that process. But even then, if I'm looking at somebody's resume, it's less of a red flag, especially for a younger person, or at least I should say younger person, especially for a more junior person. It's less of a red flag than it would be for a senior dev, just because I know what junior devs have to go through to even get a job these days, let alone keep a job. So I don't see it as that big of a red flag, but companies may, and they may just pass by you if they see that, depending on what their threshold is for what they're willing to allow in their pool. So if you were let go, just say it was the company was in liquidation or just short-term contracts. Now, I do try though to that point. I do try to make sure that when I've been let go and I talk about it, I want the company that I used to work for I want to put them in the best light that I can. Even though I'm gonna have really unhappy feelings about that company, and I'm going to really there's going to be a desire in me to dump on that company, to be angry at that company. I probably am very frustrated at that point because, again, I'm a pretty loyal person. I mean, I've been at my current job for 3 years now. I want the companies that I work for to succeed, and I want to be part of that success, right? I want the clients that we service to succeed, and I want to be part of that success. So I'm certainly not the one job hopping, right? So if I have multiple jobs, again, this is the longest that I've been in a job in my entire career. So um, when somebody looks at my resume and they ask me about places that I've worked at in the past, I don't I don't want to sound angry because I don't know if I get that job how long I'll be there, and I would want them to see that I interact um, with previous employers in a good way, that I that I treat previous employers well, and when I talk about them, I think that's a good thing. I think that's a hireable quality, is to be able to even to tell the truth, but also to be able to be self-critical and talk about ways that I may have been a better employee, things maybe that I've learned through that process, that are not said in a way that puts anybody there in my former employer down, or makes it seem like they were a bad company to work for, right? I never want to badmouth somebody that I've worked for, no matter how frustrating the process was of being let go, right? Especially when it was when they don't fire you, when it's that situation, they they use the letting go situation instead of firing you because there isn't really a cause reason necessarily to let you go. You just never know. You never know who you're going to run into, who's worked at that company or who is working at that company. You never know future people that you'll work with who you worked with in the past. I've worked with one guy at 3 different companies. I worked with him at at the second company that I worked for, and then I worked with him at the third company that I worked for, and the fifth company that I worked for. So I've ended up working with somebody, the same person, in multiple places. Now we worked pretty closely together in a couple of those places, and so we had a good relationship anyways, and one of them actually I was encouraging him to come work for. I've even tried to get him to come work at the company I work for now. But so I mean, we have a good relationship and everything. But you want to be able to have a good relationship with people that you've worked with in the past as much as possible, because it's a small world, man. Especially if you're working locally. The Kansas City area is a pretty good tech community, but it can be small, and you could end up working with somebody that you've worked with in the past, and if you didn't work well with them, or if you kind of left a bad taste in their mouth when you were let go, or you've talked poorly about them since then, that can make it very difficult to have a good working relationship in the future. So even going through resumes here lately, there was somebody who put a resume in who I worked with 10 years ago, and it's kind of cool to see to see their name come across my desk. So you just never know. No matter where you are, it's a small world. It's a smaller world than you think, and the tech world is even smaller than that. And so you definitely want to make sure that you're talking about former employees well, and that you're leaving, however you leave, that you're leaving well, with a good taste in their mouth, and in the mouth of others that you worked with, because you just never know. You never know what the future's gonna hold. So anyway, again, streaming on Twitch and YouTube, again, mostly because I have got to got to try to get stuff on YouTube, and the only way to do that right now is to stream. I just don't have the time to edit with workload and things like that. So thanks for jumping on. Ming, good to see you again. Sorry again for the delay. Hopefully we'll be here again tomorrow, 4 p.m. Central United States time, hopefully on both Twitch and YouTube. So feel free to jump in on either side. And if you're watching this later on YouTube, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. If you're not subscribed, leave a comment. If you have a question about something, I will answer it in a future live stream or there in the comment section on YouTube. And yeah, and I'll see you guys probably tomorrow, hopefully tomorrow. So have a great day. Maybe if I can find the button. There we go.